Okay, welcome to our third episode of Spilling the Tea with 4C.
Thanks.
We are so fortunate enough to have Craig O'Neill back with us. It's been a couple of weeks now, Craig.
I know, Matt. I appreciate it. You got your tea for me today.
Got the tea, man. Got the tea.
No, I'm excited. Excited to talk about some really interesting stuff, and excited about the show.
Man, we are really, truly going to spill the tea today, aren't we? I'm so excited. Again, I want to kind of, Craig O'Neill is with Teledyne FLIR, and they are a platinum sponsor this year for
That's
our
right.
2023 4C conference, which is going to take place in Austin, Texas, April 4th through 7th, in the downtown Hilton.
That's right.
Same place, just a different time.
That's right. It's it's going to be here before we know
That's it, man.
Yeah.
So I'm really, really excited.
Yeah, I'm excited. There's some exciting stuff to talk about today.
We're really excited. I mean, we're like the first people to be able to really come out with the new toy you guys got
That's
now,
right.
huh, man. Without getting it any further ado, let's jump right into it.
Yeah.
First of all, I want to say thank you.
No.
You're a platinum sponsor this year
That's
at the
right.
conference, which you've been for many years. So we really appreciate your support for the conference. But let's look at your new toy you have here, man. I mean, tell us a bit about this.
Yeah, Matt. No, thank you. Yeah. So we are excited today to announce and release the first next generation. It's been 14 years since we've come out with an
Wow.
entirely new platform, right? In 2009, we came out with a GF320, which was it's a unique platform. We've come out with other iterations. We've had the ATEX version, right? The GFX 320, which was class 1, Div 2, and Zone 2. And we've had a higher resolution version, a GF 620, that had 4 times the resolution of our general GF 320 camera. But today we are officially announcing the brand new FLIR G Series optical gas
right.
imaging camera. That's right. We are going to replace our entire portfolio of OGI cameras. And what I mean by that is we talked in the previous episode about how an optical gas imager doesn't see all gases, right?
Correct.
An optical gas imager is tuned, if you will. It has a filter inside of it, and it's optimized to where specific gases absorb energy in the electromagnetic spectrum. But we have that 5 different, if you will, model lines of the cameras, from our hydrocarbons, carbon monoxide, carbon dioxide, refrigerant, and SF6. And we are actually launching
The G Series optical gas imaging camera that is going to be replacing
that entire lineup of product. Not only are we doing that, we're actually announcing some new models, right? We came out over the last few years where we had a GF620, the high resolution version, and then the ATEX. But we're now going to actually, for the first time ever, have an ATEX version of a high resolution optical gas imaging camera. So it has its pluses and minuses for higher resolution. Great tool for people that need to look at higher distance away, right? You've got more pixels to go by. You do reduce a little sensitivity, but the camera still meets quad OA, right? It still meets the quad OA sensitivity. It will still meet Appendix K when that is finalized and brought to fruition. So super excited to have this new toy here to talk to you about.
So, I mean, looking at it, it's really sleek. It kind of looks like the other camera a
Yeah.
little bit. Can you kind of go into some of the details? What are some of the differences?
Yeah. So, one thing that we did is we want to make sure that our customer base knows that we listen to them.
Okay.
Actually, we started this at the 4C conference in 2022. We were there. We brought off to the side, up to our private room. We brought a handful or more, maybe close to a dozen customers up, and we asked them one-to-one. Sometimes it was maybe a manager and a technician, and said, "What do you like about the camera?" And we got a lot of feedback, I think. But what was the probably most surprising feedback that we got? Because as an innovative company, we want to change everything, right? You want to make the card look different.
Yes.
You want to make the phone operate. It's going to go from a flip to fold to nothing to touchscreen and all of this. And so we were always focused on just making this thing better and making it look different. But everybody said, do not change the ergonomic. Do not change the button layout. My guys know it. They know where their pointer finger goes. They know how to hold the camera. They know exactly how to use the camera. And so we showed a number of features. Actually, at the conference, we actually had a 3D printed model that we slid an Android phone into and let them actually go through the menu systems and asked them kind of how they did their daily job. So this camera is made specifically with feedback from LDAR technicians across the world. Wow. And understanding exactly what they would want to see in the camera. Now, don't get me wrong, there were some requests, right? There were some ideas that we thought are great. They may be on the drawing board for future, right? But, you know, again, the biggest surprise was how many people said that they would just want the buttons to stay the same. And so we did that. But we packed this thing full of really, really cool features, a lot of new features and new things that we can do. Some of the unique things, is this is now a full touchscreen LCD. So if I were to take the camera here and do this, and I can actually fold the camera. Now I don't have it on because these cameras are still loud, right? The inside, the core, the same, but I could actually take the camera and fully operate the camera with a touchscreen, set it here. I can actually set it in a new case. We've actually revamped the case. It sounds silly, but some people talked about the weight of the case. Some people may travel regionally. They have to carry. The case has wheels now. Easy access. Fancy. Yeah, little things like, you go buy a power tool today, and they'll show you kind of where the battery level is on your tool, on your battery. So little things that we just looked at in our own garages, asked customers, what would you like to see? So really pack this thing full of some new features while keeping, if you will, that DNA, right? The engine hasn't changed of the car, right? The chassis is a little bit different,
okay,
right? But it's kind of, you go get a new car. You may still have a V8. There may be some slight changes to it, but you're still going to have a V8 in the truck. The chassis, maybe not changed a little bit, make it a little sleeker, a little nicer. But what's different, right? Everything in the inside. Ours, the inside is the outside, right? Man. So everything on the inside. Now I've got a touch screen monitor in my car, and that used to have to use this wheel well. Now I can roll the windows up and down with a button.
You're telling our age there, Craig.
I know. I guess I shouldn't have done that, right? So there's a lot of people watching this going, what is he doing over here? But yeah, super, super excited with some of the new features that we have in here.
So with some of these new features, these aren't add-ons that you charge extra for. They come with the package now, huh?
They actually come with it. So right now, some of the things, as an example, the camera is now fully touchscreen, right? So again, I can fold the monitor in, or while I'm using the camera, I can simply touch the screen. We've got new features, and what's unique is that we've been making cameras with a award-winning graphical user interface, right? A award-winning GUI for many years through our infrared cameras. Wow. The cameras that we use to measure temperature that may cost $1,000, maybe they cost $40,000. They're used to look at like in substations and transmission lines. So we actually have an award-winning GUI in there, touchscreen, how the menus pop up and down and how they operate. That's now implemented in this camera. And not only that uniqueness of how you do, because it's touchscreen, that's what we've always done. If you want to move a box or move a spot, you just simply touch it and move it.
Oh, man.
And then to add to that, there's features that we had in old cameras. One of them is called One Touch Level and Span. And a quick story about one of our old cameras is what that is I won't get too technical. The way an infrared camera generally works, you have automatic level and span, which looks at the hottest and the coldest thing that you see.
Okay.
And then it continually changes, right? If you're outside, it's always changing. In OGI, you generally have high sensitivity mode. But there's another feature called One Touch where you touch the screen and it'll pop up about a dime-sized circle. And it'll automatically change immediately the level and span only to what's in that dime-sized circle. So imagine looking at a valve or looking at something and you don't want to get the background of the sky or the background of something washing out your screen. Just simply touch it. Put it in manual, touch it. You can actually use manual level and span with a feature called One Touch Level and Span, which for optical gas imaging is really unique. It's never really been utilized in our cool cameras. Those are just some of the small features that we're excited to have. And because it's touchscreen, you now can just pop up a keyboard. You can actually make a note and a notation of whatever you want. And you can actually just type it in just like you're
right there on the camera. Everything.
Right there on your camera, just like you'd be typing it in on your iPhone.
Game changer, man. Game changers.
Yeah.
So when you're looking at this, can you also do quantification with this new camera?
Yes, you can. And one question you just asked, and I was kind of curious to see how you'd lead into that, is you said, well, what about the price, right? What is the, what are you going to get with this? And one thing that is unique about this is we now can do quantification in the camera with no secondary device, right? So you've heard me talk about the QL320.
Yes, I remember.
Yeah, which we introduced at the 4C conference in 2020. That has had some iterations, right? You could do the QL connected through a USB. You actually could use the QL secondhand through a file stored on the camera called QMode. But with ours, you don't need the tablet anymore. You can literally set the camera up on a tripod, look at a leak, and say quantify. And after the 5 or so seconds it takes to run that file, just like you would be running it on a third-party device or a secondary device, you'll see a number show up and a report printed on your optical gas imaging camera.
Amazing.
So yeah, your G series camera, that's going to be available only in our hydrocarbon versions, right?
Okay.
The G will have the GX320. So that's our flagship, used to be the X320. Our flagship ATEX camera is going to be our GX320. We'll also have a G620, which is a non-ATEX version. There are some areas of the world that they don't like the ATEX, and there's some unique features, advantages like electronic zoom, where you can actually do it and have it autofocus and zoom. And then we'll have a GX620, right? So we're actually going to have a high resolution ATEX version of our camera for the first time. So, and all three of those will actually have quantification built in. It's no longer by one device, and by this even as a feature, it will be built in at the new MSRP, which is going to be, I'll be honest, it's going to be a slight higher, mostly because we're catching up with the supply and demand challenges we've had over the past few years. And so, yeah, it's going to be slight, but with that, everybody, if you buy a hydrocarbon optical gas imaging camera from Teledyne FLIR, it will have quantification in camera built in, ready to go, so that you do not even need that. There are going to be some advantages of of the QL320. You can do a little bit more advanced than what we can put on the computer processor in the camera. But if you just I want to look at a leak, I want it to send me a number, and I want it to give me a very basic report, it's going to be built directly into your G series camera from FLIR.
So I can not only identify the leak with this new camera, I can bring somebody over and show them where the leak is and the total ppm readings off that leak.
So keep in mind, we don't do ppm because we're generally doing, if we do ppm, we do it in a ppm meter, right?
Okay.
We're assuming a 1 meter depth of the leak, but we are going to be able to do this not just in ppm. Again, people understand. You go to most people and they say, what's a ppm? But if you say grams per hour, liters per minute, now you really start to get to where people can quantify and truly understand how much, and not have to do some sort of calculation of ppm to something else. You actually have a direct number. Not only can you do that, you can take a report from there. What I haven't told you is another huge advantage of this is the wireless features that we have in our existing infrared camera portfolio.
Okay.
From Bluetooth to Wi-Fi, they're going to be directly built into this G series camera. They're here right now. They're ready to go. And what that means is I can connect this to a third-party device that operates with this camera via Bluetooth. I can connect this to my phone wirelessly, or I can walk around all day, go take a whole bunch of videos, take my quantification recordings, maybe some images of some electrical mechanical issues. And when I get done at the office, I just set the camera on the desk, let it connect to the Wi-Fi, which it'll do immediately when you walk in. And all that stuff is immediately on the cloud. We actually have a FLIR cloud service called FLIR Ignite. Maybe not the best name of a cloud service for the oil and gas industry, but it worked for a lot of our user bases. But we have this FLIR Ignite. You actually are going to get Ignite for free with a minimum, I think it's 1 gigabyte of storage, where you can actually just immediately have all that stuff. It is on the camera. The second you hit a Wi-Fi, it's in a cloud. It's on your computer. If that computer's on a Wi-Fi, you can have it all set up. It's all directly in here.
This is amazing, Craig. So you're telling me I can have a technician out in the middle of nowhere do a full day's worth of work and as soon as he hits a Wi-Fi spot, that data is automatically in the cloud and back somewhere.
Keep in
Somebody's
mind,
running
their
reports.
Wi-Fi spot nowadays are on their truck. So
Good
if
point.
they actually have an antenna, a Wi-Fi of some way on site on their truck, they could actually have that immediately before they leave the site, Matt. They could actually have all that information directly from the camera immediately in the cloud before they leave the site.
Amazing. Again, I'm here with Craig O'Neill with Teledyne FLIR, and I mean, they've started the game. Now they're changing it all over again. I mean, this is some amazing technology. Can you go into details about your lenses? I mean, do I need multiple lenses, or is this something? I know the original version, we really couldn't change lenses in and out. Tell us a little bit about this.
Yeah, so on the ATEX version originally, the GF-X320, the way that it was developed and designed to meet ATEX compliancy, we couldn't remove the lens and put it back in. But what we've done is we've worked with the ATEX compliance organization, and we've learned a little bit more in doing this. And so now, so this right here is the GX320. I can simply tap a button and pull the lens off. And if I had a secondary lens, I could actually put a narrower field of view lens directly on the camera, operate this, and now you can actually have multiple lenses. Or if I really wanted that big lens, right, the 6-degree field of view lens, a 4X optical zoom lens, you can actually throw that guy on here. So again, we're widening the versatility of this camera. Multiple lenses, quantification in camera, some other, again, new features. Another new feature that we put in here, again, one of the complaints, if you will, or the comments we got when we were doing some of these interviews, Matt, is if you've used the cameras in the past, if I wanted to record infrared, right,
Yes.
or if I wanted to record HSM, or I wanted to record visual, because this is going to have the same thing, right? It's going to have visual, it's going to have infrared, it's going to have high sensitivity mode. You're going to have all of those features. And one of the things that people said is, man, sometimes I got to figure out where that button is. I like the muscle memory, but I would see a bunch of videos where somebody would take the camera and they would move it, and you could see the video pan back because they're looking for the button. Well, now I can set up what's called multi-rec or multi-recording. And so I say I want 3 seconds of high sensitivity mode, 2 seconds of infrared, 2 seconds of visual, all of that, and I hit record, and I just hold the camera still, and it will record all of those without you having to actually do anything. You just have to hold the camera for the total amount of time that you're wanting to record there.
So I'm sure there's some, really, really expert OGI camera operators that are like, hey, this is amazing. I mean, they just went from a Toyota to a Lexus here, huh, man?
Yeah,
this is amazing.
Yeah,
so tell me, anything with the battery life? Did you increase the battery life? Tell me.
Yeah. So, again, the one thing with the battery is going to be, this is still running that thermoelectric cooler. And it's a slippery slope, right? To increase battery life, really the only way to do it is to make it bigger. And we didn't want to go that, so we kept the battery life consistent with the previous models. We're weighing that balance of battery life. But a couple of things that we did do, again, make the battery easier to use, easier to understand exactly when it's ready to go, when I need to do this. The battery charger does this. Another thing that we did with the battery, knowing that a lot of these guys, especially in the upstream world, they work out of their truck.
Correct.
Right? So they have this camera sitting in the case. So now you can actually charge the battery. You can plug a charger in the bottom of this case, set the case set the battery charger in the case with a wire coming out, and just slightly close. You can't close the actual lid, but just set it down when they're driving from A to B, and you're going to continually charge with the camera in the case instead of having batteries thrown all about your cabin of your truck. They're just right there in your camera case.
Amazing.
So again, little things that we did, and even when you put the camera in the actual case, you can turn the screen around, set the camera up, and actually use the camera as a keyboard. If you wanted to actually make edits on the files in the camera, you can do that right there in the case. Simple, easy to use. Again, our engineering team, so proud of them. They put a lot of thought in how to make those little things just a little bit better.
So you brought out earlier that you can use the keyboard, take real-time readings, quantify, and actually have a report right then and there. kind of explain the reporting process. What's that like?
Yeah, so one thing with reporting is when we talk about reporting, we're talking about taking a video or taking a quantification reading. It's just a still reporting. Our videos, if you will, our unproprietary videos or images are still going to be what they are. We don't have an LDAR reporting aspect or arm because that's just not our core competency. We talked about it a couple of weeks ago.
Yes, sir.
And that's just not what we do. But because the camera has full wireless capabilities, we have we have an SDK for these third-party companies. Many of them will be exhibiting at the 4C to be able to write code so that this camera will talk to their software in the field via a phone or a third-party device, some sort of tablet of some whatever it is that they use. Because the camera has Wi-Fi, whatever device they're using that has the LDAR software, the third-party software on it, it's going to have Wi-Fi. They're going to go directly point to point. So I think ideally, you can be done with a scan on site, have all the stuff in the cloud, have Wi-Fi to your third-party device that has your LDAR reporting software, and have all of that seamlessly done while you're there. Yep.
Man, that's amazing. So, and have you already started communicating with some of these third-party software companies? Are they familiar with?
We've been talking to them behind the scenes in NDAs and talking to them because, as I mentioned, the GUI or the way that the camera works is just like our other cameras. I actually could send them a older or like a smaller camera and say, hey, if you can make it work with this and get it ready, it can actually work with yours. So we're still working with them now to try to streamline some of that process to ensure that they're up to speed, ready to go, and ensure that they can hit the ground running so that when these operators get one of these new G series cameras from FLIR, that transition time from the from learning this to learning the software, all of that can be as seamless as possible.
Man, so I can feel the energy, the excitement coming from you. You're really excited about this. When would this hit the market? How soon can I get my hands on one of these things?
It's available. It'll be on our website is live right now, Matt.
Awesome.
So these are going to be, there's a couple of little things. We've got cameras that we're producing right now. And we're putting some of these out, and we'll start delivering these within the next few weeks. One of the good things is we can also continually make advancements in the technology. And what I mean by that is because the camera's Wi-Fi, we can and you can get on a Wi-Fi network. We can upgrade the camera. We can add new features to it just seamlessly with the camera connected to a Wi-Fi through firmware. And so even some features that we know may need a little fine tuning because they're so new in the market, like quantification and camera, we can have something like that where we can actually send updates and upgrades to ensure that the camera gets the top of the line. Again, all the little things that are everything from our service department talked about to our engineering team to our research and development, all that stuff. And yeah, we're hitting the ground running today. And you can go to FLIR.com/OGI. Learn a little bit more about the technology, and you could reach out to any of us and at FLIR. And a lot of these customers at the 4C may have some of these, some of the older and legacy FLIRs, and we're looking forward to kind of advancing their fleet.
Good. So let's say I did, you brought up a good question or a good point there. I do have a fleet of older FLIR cameras. Is there some sort of trade-in value, or how can I go about, upgrading my fleet and not only upgrading it, but getting my boss to buy into it?
Yeah, we're still, we're looking at the right avenue to address the trade-in value. We're going to have, we understand that there is going to be that requirement, and we're looking at the right balance point for that. And so, yeah, we will have, a trade-in, and I would just say, just call your local, reach out to your local FLIR representative, and, reach out to us, and we'll talk to you about it. We'll make sure that, because we've got some customers that have a lot of cameras, and I can guarantee you we're going to take care of our customers and make sure that, we want them to have the most state-of-the-art and all this. Keep in mind, as I mentioned, the engine didn't change. So if you have a legacy FLIR camera, you're still going to be able to meet Quad 08, meet Appendix K. You're still going to be able to meet the requirements as it relates to the technology. All you're getting, again, is all the sexiness, right? You're getting the new bells and whistles. You know, again, that you can go pick up a V8 truck from 1976. It still runs, right?
It's true.
If it does, right? But you know, you are going to be doing this with the window, and it's going to operate a little differently. And so again, same thing here. But yeah, we for sure want to work with all of our customers, and we do really feel like the technological advancements, in particular the wireless technology, and being able to streamline that with their needs of today. Where I saw the quantification was the needs of tomorrow. Quantification is not asked for, right? It's not something that the industry and the regulatory agencies are saying, well, you know what, you've got to have quantification right now. There are some, as I mentioned previously, Mexico and Canada, that have that a little bit more strenuous. But, you know, we know by talking to anybody out there that talks about emissions reduction, understanding the severity of quantity of those emissions are very, very important. We're there, right? We're the BSCR for Quad OA. We're already doing that. If we can help try to streamline that data and be able to allow them to quantify very quickly and easily, you're going to, you know, again, that's where we see the quantification in camera. And it's a reason we put it in the camera so that, you know, so that we can, you know, help drive the industry to quantify those emissions better than they have in the past, and not just, you know, find and fix.
So a few questions for you.
Yeah.
Bring up some great points there. So with some of the changes and updates in the camera, are you able to see from a further distance, one?
Yeah.
And two, are you able to see a smaller plume, or is it about the same? What are some of the differences with the new camera?
So I'll take the second one first. As far as the plume size, keep in mind the engine's the same, right?
Okay.
The detector's the same. It operates the same. We did that on purpose because we want to ensure that we have consistent compliancy across the various platforms with the technology. So there's reasoning behind that. As far as seeing from a greater distance, the answer to that is yes, but that's with the lenses. Historically, we had one lens. This is what people bought. If I want to pop a lens off and pop a new one on our ATEX cameras, you can do that. That was a limitation in the GFX 320. But with the GX 320, the GX 620, now you have that capability to pop a lens off, put a new one on, be able to see those emissions from a greater distance and a safer distance.
That is also, you're telling me I can have my camera out during a unit startup. Mm-hmm. And send virtually live feedback to the main control room of what I'm videoing via the Wi-Fi.
If you're connected to a live Wi-Fi, maybe you have a hotspot on your phone. If that phone is allowed to be in the area that you are, or you have another device that actually has Wi-Fi, or maybe some of these facilities that are actually installing Wi-Fi hubs throughout a refinery or a plant. If that is the case and you're connected to that Wi-Fi network, you could literally save a video, and within seconds, that video would be on the desk of whoever has access to that cloud account.
That is amazing. I mean, true game changer there. So, I mean, I remember back in the day, sometimes it'd be 2 days. The guy's out in the, oil patch, taking video, doing his job, and 3 days later, he's back at the main office. Download everything and get your report. Now we can have it all there real time.
And imagine this. One of the other things is the EPA has introduced a senior camera operator.
Yes.
That does need to be a leverage tool, somebody to rely on. And imagine being able to take a video and immediately calling them and saying, hey, can you check your email? Just texting them and tell me, do you see a leak here? I think I do.
Wow.
So imagine them being able to utilize that type of technology in the field to help, kind of a big brother there, not big brother as in overlooking them, but a superior guidance type of mentor, but he's across the world.
So you have this one guy working with multiple people at one time, double checking, kind of QA/QCing, looking at different things, verifying.
And if you took your 5-minute QA/QC video, I don't have to wait, go back, figure it out, download it, upload it, do all this. I could literally just take my 5-minute video, hit save, and however long it takes that to connect to upload to the cloud, that would be available for review immediately.
total game changer there,
Yep.
Craig.
Yep.
Wow. So how long has this been in the making?
So yeah, it's been we've been thinking about this for a while. I think in the last call we talked a little bit about the COVID experience that we
Correct,
had,
correct.
right? And how, as a technology that measures surface temperature, everybody, oil and gas, optical gas, our utility team, everybody was all hands on deck, right? It was, you figure out how to meet the needs of this industry. That included R&D, and so realistically, everybody that was there. In our R&D, they paused every single project that we had so that we could address the immediate needs of the world, right?
Okay.
I mean, it was a all hands on deck for us, but for the whole world was saying, how can we wrap our hands around this and help solve this problem? So reality is this was starting right around that time, and we had to put a little bit of a pause on it.
Okay.
And then when we came back, and as I mentioned, we came back and we were starting to develop the camera and take some of the feedback from the customers. And it was interesting to say, don't change the buttons. Don't change the feel. You change a little bit, right? But realistically, don't change what happens there. So, we change things like some of the buttons are programmable now. So you have versatility. You don't just say this button has to do this feature. Here's 15 features or 20 features, and you can have two buttons on the camera. One of them may switch it from normal to high sensitivity mode. The other one may toggle through the palettes. And you have programmable buttons, and you might want to do something different than me. So your camera can have a different programmable button than my camera. And so again, just a lot of those things. So yeah, it's been a few years in the making.
Okay.
Really, really, really strong in the last, I would say, year or so, year and a half. But man, these things, I like to say it's been 14 years in the making, because the day we came out with the other one, everybody says, what's the next, right? But there's been a lot of, customers, and we've realized that over the years, maybe there was a gap in some of our technology,
Okay.
right? We're aware that maybe in the communications front, there may have been a little bit of a gap in how our camera communicated with some of the third parties. And we knew that, but we also knew this was coming. And that's one reason that we're super excited to have this technology, to make sure that we have, the best of everything that's out there, as well as forward thinking with the quantification in camera.
I noticed the casing looks a little more slicker, a little more aerodynamic. Is it lighter?
It's going to be right around the same weight. To be honest with you, it's going to be it may be a little bit heavier.
Okay.
As far as the weight, and I say a little bit, I'm talking about grams of heavier. If you're going to look on a data sheet, it may look ergonomically, it's going to do that. We're looking at the best ways, but one of the good things about the way that this works compared to realistically other cameras in the market, lighter or heavier, I don't have to hold it up to my head the whole time. I can use the LCD. It's going to have a higher brightness LCD,
Okay,
right? So the
okay.
LCD is going to be more advanced, like our other cameras, and so I can always, like all FLIR cameras, I can use the eyepiece if I want, but I can hold it down by my belly whenever I carry it. Got the neck strap, all of those. So it's very similar in weight. Again, it may be a couple of grams more, but it's ergonomically is what we've always been proud of with the
Yes.
GF series since day one, is how it works, and that's going to allow an operator to really use this more efficiently.
No, that's amazing. So getting a new camera, what all do I get in this package?
Yeah, so you're going to get just similar to the legacy models. You're going to get the camera, all the batteries, battery chargers, carrying case, and every SD card. Still going to record on the SD card, even though it's going to hold it on the SD card.
Okay.
And then that's going to go up to the cloud whenever you'd like and connect. But what we've done is we just made everything better, right? We've talked about the batteries with a battery charging indicator, ability to charge them in the case while you're while the case is open without having to take everything out. You can just always leave it plugged in, right? Literally always. You just unplug it from the wall, put it in the camera case, take it out, plug it in the wall. So where the camera sits, you can flip the screen back and work on it. You can just reach down and grab it immediately, and everything's laid out. And again, the case, it's a little bit different design.
Okay.
And we've heard people say, it's kind of cumbersome carrying the case around. So we put wheels on it, right? So if you do have to have a regional site where you may need to fly, you can actually carry this case around an airport. If you're a service company, which you probably remember some of those days.
Yes.
So we've really gone a little bit forward thinking on the case and the camera and the layout and everything.
Man, so is there some sort of warranty, preventive maintenance program that you also?
Yeah, we're going to do the same. What we also have done is understanding that some of the other camera manufacturers in the market have unique warranties that maybe don't warranty the detector, but they warranty all the parts. We will provide extended warranties, everything. We are going to provide you with a standard 1-year warranty for everything that we sell under the FLIR roof, right? So you're going to have a 1-year warranty, bumper to bumper, if you will, on the camera. But we've got a really, really diverse and expanded warranty offering. If you want to warranty everything from the detector to the lens to everything on the camera, we have that option. If you want something more similar to what competitive OGI camera manufacturers have, where you just warranty the parts not associated with the detector, we're going to provide that now to be in alignment with what it seems like some of the customers may be interested in. And so, yeah, you're going to have the full capabilities, but on top of that, it's the service of FLIR. We've got service facilities in the U.S. We've got them in Sweden. We've got them all over the world. And so, Canada has its own service center. So when you look at the service that we provide, it's top notch. It's second to none, and we're going to have that capability to have that very regional type of service service touch. But we're hoping that's not necessary.
Man, so again, just to kind of recap a little bit,
Yep.
The camera is available right now.
The camera is available. You can again go to FLIR.com /OGI and come reach out to us. And we're more than glad to talk to you a little bit about this. The other thing is, it will be at the 4C, and I'm excited.
Excellent.
To have this camera. We'll have this thing live. Let anybody that wants to come out and get some fingers on it. And,
Okay.
We'll have some hand sanitizer nearby. But now that you've got the touch screen, you can feel it. You can touch it. You can try to understand it, what all the camera does and how it operates. And so here in about a month and a half, we're going to have everybody out there to get some a little bit better feel of the camera and get some stick time with it.
Oh, we're super excited. Again, we know you're going to be speaking. You're going to moderate one of our tracks. Agenda's complete. So definitely everybody go out there, check out our website, see the agenda, look at all our sponsors and exhibitors. We're really, really happy about that this year. Craig, is there a lead time if I were to go on the site, try to order one? What kind of lead time do I have
We're
there?
making them right now.
Okay.
I generally, we have to kind of quote that worst case scenario because if we get, a large order or something, generally our lead times are 6 to 8 weeks or better. I would say on average, once we get on the right side of production, we're on average about a week or two lead time. But I can't say that is always the case. And that somewhat depends upon it just depends upon the scenario or the situation that we're in. If we get a supply chain issue with one of our suppliers that may provide like the processing board, which is, by the way, one of the huge advancements of this. The camera will run faster with more features because there's a better computer. The computers today are better than they were quite some time ago. And so little things like that, we do have to take that into consideration. But generally, it's about a week or two.
Okay. So definitely, if this is on your wish list, you need to put the order in right away. Go online,
It's not even
place
Christmas,
your order.
right?
That's it, man.
Yeah.
You got your budgets coming up for 2024. You need to mark this in now. So you earmark it and get everything online. I thank you so much, Craig, for joining us and coming back. Episode 3. So you got
right.
2 under your belt now.
I
man.
know. One of these days, you're gonna run out of tea. You got the tea for me this time, but one of these days you're gonna kind of get enough of me. But it's always great to be a part of the 4C again, and working with you. For the last few months and even since the last podcast, in helping and talking about the Eldar track that we're going to try to get going and Appendix K and everything. So I'm excited for April. I'm ready for Austin, and
I'm super pumped, man. I'm excited. I can't
we
wait.
have the Spasmatics again, right?
Spasmatics, man. So there's no filming my dancing. That's the only requirement. You do not film me dancing.
Okay.
But other than that, I think it's going to be a great show.
I think you just set a target on yourself right there. You may have just put
Probably
a target
right there.
I think you might find a video or two of you dancing. But
We're going to have
no.
to do some serious editing before we put anything live, right?
Sounds
No,
good.
again, I thank you, Craig, and thank you for allowing us to be the ones you come out and share your new technology with here.
Thank you. Awesome.
Bye-bye.